Hello and welcome to a DFS preview for the 2023 Memorial Tournament. My name is Eric, and here at SweetSpotDFS, it's all about trying to hit the optimal lineup every single week. And in these preview videos, I like to go over the stats that I think you should target when finding the golfers to build your lineups with. So we'll be taking a look at the bucket system, which if you're unfamiliar with, I do have a video link in the description below. They'll send you to a video that explains all about it. Now, it's not just the bucket system we'll be talking about. I'll also be going over the course and tournament information. We'll go over pass optimal and GPP winning lineups. We'll also do a review of the Charles Schwab Challenge just to give you an idea of how well the sweet spot process does, how well the bucket system does, because that is what I'll be ending this video with, is with the bucket system. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some giveaway reminders, and then we'll do a giveaway after I remind you what it takes to be in the giveaway. So, first one on the screen is a monthly/weekly giveaway. So if you're subscribed to the channel and you comment every single week, you have a chance to win the weekly giveaway, which I'll be running today. That happens every Monday. But you'll also be entered into the monthly giveaway, which we need to hit the subscriber goal that you can see all the way over there to the left, all the way over to the left on the screen. We're at 547 out of 550 subscribers. We need 3 new subscribers, and then we need to hold 550 subscribers because next Monday, I'm going to run a monthly giveaway, and it could be worth $50. It could be, but we need 3 more subscribers. If we don't reach those 3 subscribers, I'm giving away a t-shirt with the SweetSpotDFS logo on it. So if you have friends, family, who may not even watch golf, may not even care about this, but want a chance to win $50, all you gotta do is be subscribed and comment down below. Now, if you need a comment idea, give me your 2 favorite golfers you want to build your lineups around this week. That's all that you need to do. You could just say nice video or terrible video. You're still going to get an entry into the giveaway. And again, I run weekly giveaways every Monday and monthly giveaways the first Monday of every new month, or the next month. So if you want a chance to win $5 or $50, be subscribed and participate on the channel. It's as simple as that. And I'll be cutting this video into other segments, so you'll have like 5 videos by the end of the week that you can comment on. You'll get 5. You have an opportunity to get 5 or even up to 6 or 7 entries, depending on how many videos I put out there. So the world's your oyster. If you want a chance to win money, participate on this channel, and that'll give you a chance to win money. The second giveaway that I have is a Prize Picks giveaway. This is more of a rebate. If you sign up on Prize Picks and use the promo code SweetSpot, put $20 in your account, I'm going to give you $20 back. If you want a quick link to that, check the description of this channel. That'll send you straight to the Prize Picks homepage. Go click sign up and boom. SweetSpot promo code already populated. You don't even have to do that. Sign up, put $20 in your account, and you'll get $20 back from me the next day because I will get an email saying, hey, this person signed up and has deposited money in their account. So you're going to get it right away. Every Friday, I've been mentioning this recently, but every Friday they have a protected flex play, meaning you could put $20 into one of the picks. You got to make like 4 to 6 picks, and it's protected. So if you win no money from your $20, they'll credit you back $20. Simple as that. And then you get to play the next Monday. So like you can always have free money in your account. And again, all you got to do is use the promo code SweetSpot, and you have a chance. You got a free lotto ticket every Friday. So if you're in a state that allows it and you haven't signed up yet, on Prize Picks, use the promo code SweetSpot. And if you want a quick link, check the description of this video. It'll send you straight there. Those are kind of the 2 rebates. How about this? Before I get into the cheat sheet or talk about the optimizer, let's run a giveaway. I have the weekly subscriber giveaway up right now. Basically, it's just a spreadsheet that has a randomizer in there. Once this goes to yes, we're going to find our winner. We had 45 total entries. That's pretty good. For kind of like a one-off event and an event that followed the PGA Championship, this was really good. So we can see all the names, all the users over here, the tournament it applied to, the video it applied to. If you don't see your name here and you participated, I'm pretty sure I got everybody. I always check this. I even include the live strategy video that I do Tuesday nights. Even the replay. People went in and watched the replay and commented on the replay. So you got, again, you got entries for participating on the channel. And there were 45 total basically unique entries. So let's go ahead and find our winner, and you will win $5. Ian Christensen, one entry into the DFS preview, letting me know that he'll be there next week for the strategy video. Ian usually just shows up for the strategy videos, but this week commented on the preview video. You won $5, Ian. Contact me. Let me know you know, where you would like the money sent, whether it's a Venmo, Google Pay, PayPal, or any other means. I can mail you a check for $5 if you want me to. Give me a heads up where you would like it to be sent to. You're gonna have to email me right there, SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com. So, congratulations, Ian. Let's go ahead and get into some of the other things that I am providing this week. A cheat sheet. While I go through this preview video, you can follow along with me on here. Not only are you going to have the dream sheet at your disposal, which has everything that I look at every single week. The model is at the very end of the spreadsheet. You can see the point totals over there as well. And you can see the current sweet spot rank. Now, there's some pieces of information missing. I have to wait for tee times to come up before I can actually apply before I can actually populate this with any data. So we'll wait until tee times come out. Those usually come out Tuesday afternoon. So Tuesday afternoon, I should have this updated. You also have access to the bucket system. Now, I will be discussing the bucket system at the end of this video. So if you wanted to follow along with, this is where you'll find it. And you can find the filter up here as well. One thing to note, you can use the filters, no problem. You could just be a visitor. I don't even know if you need a Google account in order to actually check this. You can use the filters that are up here. If, for whatever reason, you'd like to modify this data or copy it or do whatever you want with it, you're going to have to go to the File menu and make a copy. That's the only way you can do it. You can kind of see it at the top of the screen, top left. I'm trying to hover over it so you can see it says make a copy, but that is where the File menu is. So again, if you want to copy this data for your own, or if you want to modify it for your own use, again, you're gonna have to make a copy, but you don't have to do that in order to utilize a spreadsheet. You can use the filters that I will be using, not only in the preview video today or in this video, but also in the strategy video that I will go live with Tuesday night. So be on the lookout for that. I'm probably going to go live around, I haven't decided, but I think it's going to be 8 p.m. I think now we're in the summer days where I'd rather the videos be later so I can go out and enjoy a little bit of the sunshine. It might switch to 9 p.m., which I think helps a lot of people. A lot of people like to do the later version of the live video. So I always put it on YouTube about an hour early, and I'll also post it on Twitter to let you know, hey, I'm going to go live within an hour. So again, if you want to be notified when I go live, obviously be subscribed to the channel and then hit the notification bell. You're going to find, ooh, I just posted something saying I'm going live in about an hour. So Tuesday night, strategy video. I will have all this information populated, and you can follow along with me on the cheat sheet when I go and do that live version. So that is your reminder of the cheat sheet that you can use. Another reminder, you can access this from the link in the description of this video. And then I'll have an optimizer available once I get tee times. If you're unfamiliar with what the optimizer looks like, I'll just go ahead and put it on the screen. This is still populated with the Charles Schwab challenge. It utilizes everything that the bucket system does. So I put all the bucket requirements right here. So everything that I go over every single week is put right in there. And this allows you to use the sweet spot process without even having to look at anything. Before, I used to do everything manually, where I'm clicking and making sure that everything, you know, follows the sweet spot process, follows the bucket system. Now, I just have it written in code on an optimizer, and it builds the lineups how I want the lineups to be built. So that'll be available to you tomorrow. You can join in me with the strategy video and be like, oh, hey, I'd like to use the optimizer. And then email me at sweetspotdfs@gmail.com. Let me know you would like it. And again, I'll have it completed tomorrow evening, probably around like 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you want access to it, you can send me an email early. Just know it won't get to you until Tuesday night. So that is all available for you. And those are all the giveaways. So without further ado, let's get into the first piece I'm going to talk about, and that's the course information, the course and tournament information. I'm going to start with the tournament fact sheets. Now, if you're unfamiliar with these, you can go to the gcsaa.org. So this acronym right up here, the gcsaa.org. Scroll to the bottom of the page, you're going to see a link that says tournament fact sheets. And it'll give you all these years that you can select. Well, obviously, we want to select 2023. And you're going to see the most recent tournament at the top of the list. Here we have the Memorial Tournament, and what I like about these tournament fact sheets is it gives you data points to research. That's essentially what this is for. You know, you can look at par 72s. We can look at golf courses that are 7,500 yards and greater, or somewhere between 74 and 7,600 yards. Totally up to you. You can also look at average green size. Any amount of this information can be used for your own research, however you see fit. I don't really necessarily care all that much. If they had the stimp meter here like they usually do, I imagine it's going to roll around 12, 12 and a half, 13. I would like to use that because I want to know golfers who are playing on faster greens, who putts better on faster greens. Also, I want to know golfers playing between, let's just say like 7,500 and 7,600 yards. Or if you want to get a little wider than that, 74 to 76. I think that's fine. I would use that as a data point. And if you want like some kind of weighting system, I don't think anything on here is more than 5 points, you know, in your models, if you're running models. Altogether, I don't think you should go more than 10 points. So if you wanted to do par 72s that are 74 to 7,600 yards, where there's, you know, 60 or more bunkers, 13 more water hazards, all of this should just be minimal in your research. I do believe looking at the greens being bent grass, also the approaches, tees, and rough. So we have a bluegrass rye fescue mix. It's a typical northern American golf course. That's what we have all over the place. Doesn't matter if you're in Iowa, Minnesota, Ohio, apparently, maybe New York, you're going to have this type of rough. So basically anything north of, can't even remember like the, what it's called on the map. Well, let's just say Ohio. If you just draw a straight line across the United States, Ohio and up, any tournament that's played there, you're most likely going to see bent grass greens with Kentucky bluegrass rye fescue rough. And that's kind of, I mean, you're going to use bent grass for sure. I think that's what you should use with your research. When it comes to rough, yeah, you can use it too. I guess there's no big issue with that, but you don't have to. Maybe just use bent grass. That's all that I'm using. So if I go back to my cheat sheet that's available for you, the only grass I have in here is bent. So we're looking at total events, overall bent grass, average finishing position. It should just be average finishing position on bent grass from 2013. Top 10 bent percentage. This is their success rate of finishing inside the top 10 on bent grass golf courses. And then 1 full year's worth of bent grass. That's all available to you on the cheat sheet. And that's exactly what I look at when using these tournament fact sheets. Now, you can also look at some additional notes down here. Is there anything that really pops out? New tees have been added on number 16 and number 17. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Area has seen a lot of back and forth spring weather with cooler temperatures. So basically that's just telling you the grass hasn't hasn't had a lot of optimal growing conditions. That's all that I read from that. And to me, that means the golf course isn't as lush as it probably should be at this time. That's all that I'm reading from that. Because usually if you're saying cooler temperatures, that's going to be one of your main things you put on the additional notes. Just tell me there's not optimal growing weather. So that just means grass isn't as thick. That might be reading too much into it, but spent a lot of time on golf courses working with the superintendents. I also went to school, had to take a few agronomy classes. That's how grass operates. So I'd be really interested in it being not as thick as it usually is. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. Again, nothing more on total when it comes to this page with the data points than 10 points in your model. Like that's it. Just 10% importance. And the rest of the stuff I don't really see is that big of a deal, honestly. Your architect is Jack Nicklaus. So if you want to use Jack Nicklaus as your architect, research, go for it. Jack's going to make golf courses very similar. Most architects do. It might not be an exact copy of another Jack Nicklaus golf course, but there's going to be his quote unquote signature that's going to apply to most of the courses. He likes golfers hitting fades. He hits a fade more often in his golf courses. He requires you to hit fades on certain shots versus other shots. Again, that's not an end all be all. That's just a data point, right? It's just a data point. So that's what I like to look at with the tournament fact sheets. Now, talking about fades and draws, I have that in the cheat sheet. In column P, I have fades and draws. And I just give you what I see as their preferred shot shape. What I've either heard them say, a broadcast say, what my eyeballs tell me, or anything that maybe I have read. I have their preferred shot shape in the cheat sheet. Now, just to go over that in a little different way, I also usually I have a description that goes along with the holes. I didn't have time to do it this week. I have what I see as the beneficial shot shape. It's a preferred shot shape. It's not like an end all be all if you don't have the shot shape. But because we're playing DraftKings golf or FanDuel, whatever you're doing, we want to look at what's the best ability for our golfers to make birdies, to make eagles. So that's what I have with preferred shot shape. Really nothing off the tee is preferred. You could almost get away with, I'm showing you can get away with any shot shape off of the tee. When it comes to approach, different story. Looks like the golf course was designed for a shot shaper in mind. So there are 5 draws and 6 fades that I see as preferred shot shapes. Now, this is just to access the hardest pin on the hole, because the PGA Tour is going to have 4 different pins on the green. Some of these greens are, a smooth side on one and then kind of like an inlet to another. Well, getting the ball to that inlet, like that back position, you're going to have to shape a shot into that position, or you just go for the middle of the green. But because this is DraftKings and we're trying to get birdies, we're trying to get eagles, I put the preferred shot shape up there. So it looks like there's a pretty equal amount of fades, draws, and any type of shot shape. So take that for what it's worth. I like to look at, I have a sheet. This is mine, but again, you can see the same stuff on the cheat sheet. I want to find golfers who can basically shape shots in both directions. Like I have Sahith Theegala down here as both. I think a lot of these guys I could probably switch to both, but Sung Jae hits a pretty straight ball, so him having a fade might be a little outdated. Jason Day has introduced a fade into his golf swing. His normal shot is a draw though, so I could probably put both for him. Victor, I'm just gonna have fade. I really don't see him hitting a draw. Same goes with Colin. Same goes with Xander. I don't really see him hitting more than a draw. Cantlay can kind of do both. Rory does both, but not super great. Like, I never really see him hitting a fade in the fairway, like off the tee. When he goes to his fade, just doesn't work as well as his draw does. But he tries to do both. So take that for what it's worth. I've seen Rahm hit both types of shot shapes. Scotty primarily hits a fade though. I know he can draw the golf ball, but if you just watch him off the tee, everything moves left to right. So that's kind of how I would look at it when it comes to shot shapes. Now, if you want me to give you like a weighting distribution for this, it's like 2 points. Out of 100, the importance for me on this is 2 points. It's not an end all be all. It is just a tiebreaker. So keep that in mind. Now, that kind of is more on the golf course front. Let's talk about the tournament a little bit. So there are 120 golfers in the field. If you're on the cheat sheet, you're going to scroll down and you're going to see it goes down to line 121 or line 122. But there are 2 lines here for headers. So that means 120 golfers. 120 golfers in the field. Our strength of field 725. That's pretty good. That's a tough strength of field. This is an elevated event, so you're going to have a lot of good golfers here. And you can already see the names. You can see the OWGR. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't remember who's number 6, but he's obviously not here. We have 7, 8. I don't know who number 9 or 10 is. But we have a lot of the top named golfers in this event. So, another data point you can use in your research, strength of field. I do kind of the old school strength of field. It's kind of my own touch on it. There are things called home field advantage that I don't incorporate into the strength of field points. So like the FedEx Cup will use like an additional bonus for the golfer's preferred tour, giving the top guys from last year a little bit of a bonus, or the top guys from this year a little bit of a bonus. I've just done away with that. I'm looking at OWGR and FedEx Cup points from last year, and that's what's creating the strength of field rating. So if you, I don't know, it's pretty close. I'm usually within 7 points of what the old rating used to be. So do with that as you will. But again, a data point nonetheless. I believe it's top 65 in ties. PGA Championship was obviously a major that was top 70 in ties. Most of these tournaments on the PGA Tour now are top 65 in ties. I didn't double check that before saying, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. 120 golfers, meaning the majority are going to make the cut, technically, which should help you in building lineups that get 6 to 6 through the cut. Now, I said that during the Charles Schwab Challenge, but a lot of popular golfers missed the cut, and 6 to 6 wasn't as high as predicted. I mean, I believe it was higher than the PGA Championship, but it wasn't as high as I think some of us felt it was going to be. So that's basically the rest that I have for the tournament information. I don't have anything else to really provide other than the strength of field, the number of golfers in the field. I guess one other thing I can talk about is the winning score year to year. Minus Patrick Cantlay in 2019, it looks like it hovers around, like 12 under par, give or take a few. So Horschel won it at 13 under par. Cantlay won it at 13. Rahm won it at 9. Again, we had Cantlay in 2019 at minus 19. Bryson won it at minus 15. Duffner the year before that, minus 13. We have minus 15, minus 15, minus 13, and minus 12 with the remaining years. So that can be a data point as well. Looking for winners between, I would say, maybe 12 or 13 under. I would say 12 under to 15 under. I think that's a perfect number to kind of go in between. And then we can also look at our cuts. So the cut in 2013 was 3 over. Cut in 2014 was even. 1 under in 2015. 2 under in 2016. 3 over in 2017. Basically, these guys didn't make the cut, so we're taking the number before it. So obviously that would be 3 over there. This would be 2 under. So yeah, it looks like a lot of our cuts are right around even. It fluctuates up to -1 and it goes as high as 3 over. So I would then probably look at even to 1 over par being cuts and seeing which golfers do the best, give you kind of a safety play when it comes to which golfers to choose. It might be more of a balanced type of thought process when building lineups this week, because I think just having a cut maker or golfers that are good at making cuts on hard golf courses is going to be a little bit more beneficial than trying to go stars and scrubs. But we'll see what it looks like when we get to lineup building tomorrow during the strategy video. That covers the tournament in golf course information. Let's move on to the next one, which it's a lot of people's favorites. It's the pass optimal and GPP winning lineups. So we start in 2017. That's as far back as my data goes for optimal and GPP winning lineups. I didn't have a GPP winning lineup in 2017, but your optimal left $1,700 on the table. It used 2 8K golfers, a 9, 2 7s, and a 6. So there's no 10K golfer there, but remember the sweet spot process asks you, or prefers you to start 10K, 9K, 8K, 7, 7, and 6K golfers. So just to repeat that, it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. Now, I also have a rule in there that says you can make 2 substitutions. And what that means is, say you didn't like any of the 10K golfers, we'll make 1 substitution down to a 9K. Now, if you have some money on the table and you want to move one of the other price points upwards, you could move an 8K up to a 9. So now you have 3 9Ks, a 7, a 7, and a 6. Or you move a 7 up to an 8, and you would have 2 9s, 2 8s, a 7, and a 6. So there are different ways you can make those combinations. Here, we don't have a 10K golfer, right? So we have a 9K. Now, you could make the argument that you can sub a 10 down to an 8, and that counts as 1 substitution. I don't like doing that. I think that's 2 substitutions. You're subbing a 10 down to a 9, and then a 9 down to an 8. And then that's how we get 2 8K golfers, but then there you go, 2 7s and a 6 make up that optimal lineup. Now you're leaving $1,700 on the table. That's impossible. I don't like that. So I create a realistic optimal. That's usually around like 49.4, never really going lower than 49.2 and above to create a realistic optimal. So that basically included everybody except for Anirban Lahiri. So we actually replaced Anirban Lahiri with another 7K golfer and Kevin Kisner. So what it all looks like is there's a 9, 2 8s, and then 3 7s. So technically that's making 3 substitutions because we're going from a 10 down to an 8. That's, to me, 2 substitutions. And then we're bringing our 6 up to a 7. So that gets you to 49.5. But already kind of putting importance on the 7K range. In 2018, we're also leaving $1,700 on the table. That's not very realistic. And even my realistic, I don't know if that's also that realistic, but we'll get into it. Your optimal was everyone at the top of the leaderboard. It was 5 7K golfers and then a 10K golfer. So again, there's a lot of importance on the 7K range so far. Just throwing that out there. Now, we actually sub out that 10K golfer for an 11K golfer to get a more realistic lineup, but I think we could probably do one better than that. I like to grab everybody inside the top 10 for my 6 golfers. I guess I don't see if we can actually do that. I mean, like 72 to 95, that's way over. So we'd probably have to do something like this. We're using a 10K golfer and Justin Rose, and then you go to an $8,500 Matt Kuchar, and then we have 4 7K golfers. That'd be a more realistic because this uses $49,600 of the salary cap. Remember, it's a $50,000 salary cap. We're leaving $400 on the table, but yeah, that's difficult. But that's probably the closest we can do to make things reasonable, realistic. So anyways, again, 4 7s or 5, however you're looking at it, and a 10K and above golfer. So again, more importance on the 7K range. In 2019, your optimal left $1,500 on the table. So we're seeing a trend of leaving over $1,000 at least, but up to $1,500. It's $1,500 or more so far. Don't do that. That's ridiculous. That's impossible. The reason I don't advocate for that is because when you leave more money on the table, believe it or not, you introduce like many more different combinations of lineups you can actually build. because it's bringing up, because your 6 and your 7K golfers have so many golfers in those ranges that you're including more of them into your player pool. I don't advocate for that. That makes building lineups way more challenging, in my opinion. Just stick to a solid structure of not leaving more than $500 on the table, and either starting with a 10K or with a 9K. That should give you a pretty solid basis of when to build, how to build your lineups. But in 2019, our optimal lineup had a 10K golfer, an 8K golfer, another 8K golfer, 7, a 7, and a 6. So basically we subbed 1-8 or 1-9 down to an 8. That's kind of how you can get there with that, or that's how you got there with the optimal. Now your GPP winning lineup, use up all $50,000 of the salary, and it had a 10K golfer in it, a 9K, an 8K, 7, 7, 6. So there you go, your 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. And I also created an optimal that used a 10K golfer, a 9K golfer, an 8, 2 7s, and a 6. All 6 of those golfers were inside the top 10. They don't take down the optimal, but it is the most realistic way of winning a GPP, getting as close to perfect as possible. That's the sweet spot optimal, in my opinion. In 2020, your optimal lineup left a boatload of money on the table. $2,900 to be exact. Don't do that. Again, you're seeing a lot of money on the table for the optimal. I do chase the optimal, don't get me wrong. Not when there's a lot of money left on the table. Just, I'm not doing it. Again, it just opens up way more combinations of lineups you can build. It just makes life that much tougher. So your optimal, though, had a $9,000 golfer in John Rahm, $8,000, another $8,000, 7. Well, hold on, back up. So it's 9, 3 8K golfers, a 7, and a 6. Wow. This is like having your balanced build, but basically dropping one of your other 7 or 8K golfers down for a 6K golfer in Ryan Palmer. That'd be way too hard to do. Obviously, I don't advocate for that. Plus your GPP winning lineup. So, okay, your optimal lineup scored 536 points. Your GPP winning lineup scored 489 points. So there's about 40 points between them, and your GPP winning lineup used up all $50,000 of the salary. John Rahm at $9,000, $8,000 Jason Day, $7,000 Matt Wallace, $6,700 Mackenzie Hughes, $9,200 Xander Schauffele, $9,800 Patrick Cantlay. So that was 3 9Ks. Was it 3 9K? Yeah, it was 3 9Ks. Rahm, 93, Schauffele, 92, and Patrick Cantlay, 98. Then it's $8,000 Jason Day, $7,000 Matt Wallace, and $6,700 Mackenzie Hughes. That's a bit hard to stomach. Now, I do have a realistic lineup on here that's leaving $900 on the table. I, in second thought, don't really like that. But that's a 9K, 3 8Ks, a 7. Okay, so 4 8Ks. Wow. 4, yeah, that's almost impossible. Let's see, that one scores 520.5 points. So that beats out the GPP win lineup by about 30 points, and it's 16 points behind the optimal. All right. Maybe I can do something a little bit better. I think I don't want to leave that much money on the table. I would much rather pivot Patrick Reed, who scored 73. Yeah, okay. So I must have done this too quick. Xander scored more points. So I'm going to use Xander. So 92, 83, these guys and that guy, that's 49.9. There we go. Much better. And again, we scored more points than the optimal lineup, or the GPP winning lineup. So how many points did we score? 521.5. So we still beat the GPP winning lineup by 30 points, and the optimal is only 15 points higher. And that started with 2 9s, 3 8s, and a 7. That is the most balanced build that I've ever done with like the realistic lineup. So this one used less 7K golfers, but remember this one was after COVID. So we had 5 weeks of tournaments leading up to it, not a full season event, kind of like, or a full season leading into this event like we do every single year. So it might be, it could be just prices weren't narrowed down and you know, well-rounded or balanced. Could just be an issue with the pricing with DraftKings. I don't know. In 2021, here we have a full season before the tournament. Not like a full season, but, you know, a regular season. Your optimal actually left $400 on the table, so this was pretty good. Scored 592 points. Your GPP winning lineup scored 520 points. So there's 70 points between the GPP winning lineup and the optimal. And GPP winning lineup only left $100 on the table. So your optimal started with Colin Morikawa at 10,000, Cantlay at 9,500, Scheffler at 9,000. So it's a 10 and 2 9s. But then we had 2 6s and a 7. That's impossible. That's way too difficult. This is the one where Rahm had COVID, I believe. Yeah, Rahm had to. Rahm scored 93 points, by the way. That would be like 6th place with DraftKings points, and he couldn't play the final round. Excuse me. So this was the tournament that Rahm, quote unquote, won. It's crazy because that's what the GPP winning lineup had, by the way. So it had Cantlay at 95, Scotty at 9, Homa at 75, Willett at 66, Duffner at 62, and then I had Rahm down here at 11,100. He had to withdraw. He was forced to withdraw because he had COVID after Saturday's round. So again, he scored 93 points. That was in your GPP winning lineup. It would be the first time that a withdraw was in a GPP winning lineup. I never any time before or since that we've seen that. But I guess it goes without saying, there was a 10, 2 9s. We didn't have an 8K, remember. We had 2 6s and a 7 in our optimal lineup. And that really is making 2 substitutions. We're making an 8K substitution up to a 9 and a 7K substitution down to a 6. So it still works. In 2022, your optimal left, hey, $1,700 on the table. That seems to be the magic number here because that's 3 tournaments dating back to 2017 where we leave $1,700 on the table to hit the optimal lineup. That used a 7, 7, 8, 9, 8, 6. So just to repeat in a different way, 9, 8, 8, 7, 7, 6. So we kind of see the substitution, right? We have 2 8Ks, so we sub a 10 2 times down to get to an 8K, and then that way we have our 9, 8, 7, 7, 6 part of it, but then we're adding another 8K to it, if that isn't confusing. Now, your GPP winning lineup, okay, so optimal scored 573.5, your GPP winning lineup scored 549, so it's about 24-point difference. Optimal left $1,700 on the table. Your GPP winning lineup left $200 on the table. That one was very well rounded. We had 2 8Ks, make that 4 8Ks, make that 5 8Ks, and a 7K. That's the first time I've ever seen that. I have to mention this to Chad because Chad Eckert from the Fantasy Golf Pod, he likes to pepper the 8K range. We have seen a lot of like non-10K golfers being inside 1, the optimal, 2, the GPP winning lineup. But I do have a realistic optimal here that does use a 10K golfer, 2 8Ks, and 3 7s. So that still follows the 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6 with 2 substitutions. We are subbing a 9 down to an 8, and then we're subbing a 6 up to a 7. That way we only leave $100 on the table. And oh, by the way, your realistic optimal lineup scored 555 points, 6 points higher than GPP winning lineup. and 18 points behind the optimal lineup. So yeah, still, if you wanted to start with the 10K, and by the way, we'll go over salaries in the bucket system video, or bucket system portion of the preview video. We'll go over how important it is to have a 10K golfer in your lineup, or maybe how unimportant it is. So be on the lookout for that part of this video, or that part of the bucket system video, is going over salaries and seeing if 10K is important or not. So far, looking in the optimal lineup and the GPP wing lineup, doesn't really show that 10K golfers are all that important. Lots of balanced builds. I actually might do that this week, believe it or not. I usually follow the sweet spot process, the 10-9-8-7-7-6, pretty on point. Maybe not so much this week. We'll see, though. That's going to cover, though, the pass optimal in GPP wing lineups. Let's get into a review of the Charles Schwab Challenge. We're going to start with the results of the Charles Schwab Challenge with this review. Emiliano Grillo won it in a playoff over Adam Schenk. 8 under par. It was playing so difficult. They, a lot of talk saying they were starving the greens. They weren't going to water it as much because they're basically blowing up the course after the round. They're going to do some renovations, like a complete overhaul of the golf course. So it made the tournament super tough. Golfers were landing balls on the front of the green and they were skipping to the back. And these pros put a lot of spin on the ball. They couldn't get anything to stop. So that is why we have, the score that we do. We don't see 20 under. We don't see 15 under. We see 8 under. I thought it was pretty fun, though. I kind of like that. Some notables here inside the top 10. Scotty Scheffler. To me, it was an easy play this week. We had Ricky Fowler up there, which was kind of surprising. I'm glad he did that well, but I didn't anticipate he's at top 6, so that was good. Sam Burns, your defending champion, finished 6th. That's pretty good, especially considering he didn't play that great at the PGA Championship. To come out here and do well. Same applies for Max Homa. I wasn't playing Max Homa this last week at the Charles Schwab Challenge. I did pretty well on DraftKings. I'll cover that a little bit later, but Max Homa was a guy I was not anchoring any of my lineups around. Instead, what I did was Scotty Scheffler, Justin Rose, and a lot of Emiliano Grillo. So I did pretty well. Like I said, I did pretty well. That seemed to be the best combo for me. I was kind of considering Victor Hovland, Justin Rose lineups, but when I used the optimizer, it just seemed like, I got better lineups with Scheffler and Rose starts. So that's kind of your leaderboard. Now, what I like to do in these reviews is go over the bucket system to show you how successful it was. Therefore, when I do cover the bucket system for this upcoming tournament, obviously the Memorial Tournament, you'll have more confidence in using the bucket system and the sweet spot process as a whole. Now, in my previews, I go over projections of the buckets and the golfers inside those buckets. How many am I projecting to be inside the top 10? So this very first bucket you can see that I highlighted is the last year 1 bucket. Those are golfers who had a top 20 finish at the event, obviously the Charles Schwab Challenge, the year before. We had 14 golfers in that bucket this year, or we usually see 20. Now, there's a 12% success rate of all golfers in this bucket finishing inside the top 10. So not super great, but there was a 100% frequency rate. So that all goes into these projections that I have here. And I was projecting this bucket to have at least 1 to 3 golfers inside the top 10. We had 2. So right in the middle of what I projected. This column here lets me know if the projection that I had for that bucket meets how many golfers fit inside the top 10. So obviously we had 2. Now, if for whatever reason we have less or more than the projection, so if this number falls outside of the max or the min, so let's say 1 to 3 and we had like 5 golfers inside the top 10, then I go a layer deeper and see how many were in the optimal lineup. And if these two numbers are inside the projection, we deem that as a success. That's a successful bucket. So I'm going to scroll through this really slowly. So you guys, if you want to pause the video and take a look or screenshot it or whatever you'd like to do, you can see that there are many more Y's than there are no's. And this is all formula based. So it's not like me, blowing smoke and saying, hey, look, of 36 buckets, we only had 2 no's where that was not successful, meaning 34 to 36 buckets were successful. But hold on a minute. Just a minute. I have a rule that I have not coded. And I know this is going to sound like a cop-out. But if you follow me in the previews or if you follow me in the bucket system portion of the preview videos, I say there's always a 2-point buffer. A 2-point buffer between the minimum and the maximum. So although this says 0.24, which we round down to 0, to 0.40, which we round up to 1, that there should be a 2-point buffer. If you follow this channel enough, there's a 2-point buffer. That means really this projection is 0 to 2, and we had 2 golfers inside the top 10 and 2 in the optimal lineup, meaning this bucket was successful, 100% successful. And oh, by the way, if I pull up the optimizer, I'll show you that it's in the rules, that it says 0 to 2 for salary 6s. Oh, you know what? It's not going to, because I always put it to 0 to 1. No, I guess I'll eat my words on this one. I would never tell you to play more than 2 low 6K golfers. So just kidding. On the flip side, so we'll count this bucket as a no. Although the rules, they do apply. It's a gray area. Let's put it that way. This other bucket up here that says no. You follow along with me in these previews, once again, this number right here, or this column over here that says max projection, this is my what I call conservative max projection. It says 2, right? Meaning we want to round up to 3. But if I open this up further, you can see it's 1.99664, meaning it's rounding up to 2. And when this is rounding up to 2, remember we want a 2-point buffer between the max and the min. The min goes to 0. And again, check out the preview video for the Charles Schwab challenge, or check out the bucket system video for the Charles Schwab challenge. I say that in there. And this one, I can confirm that I had that in the coding for it. Just double checking. Yes, I did. 0 to 3. Because again, if this isn't greater than 2, I then drop the minimum to 0, but I still keep the maximum to what the original maximum was. So that would be rounding up from 2.13 to 3. I know that's confusing, but again, I mean, it's confusing to new people coming to the channel, but people that have been here for a while know that that's how the rules operate. We always use this as our max, no matter what. 2.13, we round up to 3. But what I've been doing is, this is something I've realized over time, this maximum projection over here, this incorporates the sweet spot score from my model into it, and then it re-ranks kind of how those buckets, or it re-projects how many golfers to actually anticipate being in the inside the top 10. It really kind of, I can't think of a good word, but like it really incorporates the quality of golfer in the bucket. That's what bringing the sweet spot score does. And a lot of times it waters it down, which is fine. I don't mind that whatsoever. Either way, what I'm trying to get at is that the minimum was 0, the max is 3. We had 0 golfers in there. We can count this as a victory too. This is a win. This is more of a gray area. Like, yeah, in my optimizer, I never have the low 6K greater than 1. You will also see I build a sweet spot optimal based off of my rules, and you can tell in this column here, I'm only using 1. So I'll show you what that is later, and then we can determine if that takes down a GPP. If the sweet spot optimal beats the GPP, that means the sweet spot process was successful. So kind of a long explanation. My apologies. Should have been a little bit better prepared with explaining it. But if we do go and take a look at 2023, our optimal lineup left $2,800 on the table. It scored 549 points. That's pretty hard to do. And it's the 6 golfers here at the top of the leaderboard. Emiliano Grillo at 77, Shank at 68, Harry Hall at 63. Scotty Scheffler, by the way, I think this is the second week in a row he was in the optimal lineup. At 11.5, Paul Haley at 6,000, and Ricky Fowler at 89. Actually, Scheffler might be 3 weeks in a row where he's been in the optimal lineup. That's really hard to do. Now, what's even kind of more remarkable here is the GPP winning lineups use up $49,100, meaning it left $900 on the table. That's pretty difficult to do. It scored 496.5. 496.5 versus 549. About 50 points. You know, it's over 50 points between GPP and optimal, meaning there was a lot of room for you, me, or anyone else to score more points than this GPP winning lineup. And this is the $5 drive the green, by the way. That lineup had Grillo, Shank, so 77.68, Scheffler, good choice, 11,000, another 6K golfer in Hubbard, $7,500 Ryan Fox, and $9,000 Siwoo Kim. So that went 10-9, 7-7-6-6. So that's pretty hard to do. Now, the Sweet Spot Optimal incorporates all of the buckets that I go over. It also incorporates the marquee tee times, which I'll cover right after this. I'm going to show you how well the sweet spot process did, but it takes into account all of it. Sweet Spot Optimal left $100 on the table. It used Grillo, Adam Schenk, so 7,000, 6,000, $11,000 Scotty Scheffler, low 6K Paul Haley II, another 10K golfer in Max Homa, and a $7,800 Harris English. I don't think that's really realistic. It still follows the sweet spot rules because of what I had as a projection leading into this. So if I were to go back to the bucket system and go back to down to the 10K, I was projecting 1 to 3 golfers from the 10K range to be inside the top 10. First of all, 1 to 3 10K golfers. We have Homa, Scheffler. So we had 2, but Hovland was 16th place. Pretty darn close. So the projections every single week tend to be pretty darn good. I don't think going 10-10, 7-7-6-6 is easy to do whatsoever. But just to show you what that is on the optimizer, it works. Because I'm allowing 0 to 3 to be the, actually this should say 1 to 3. I think I changed it when I was building lineups. You know, you could have up to 3 10K golfers. Probably not the smartest thing to do. And I'm using, you know, I don't want my minimum to be less than $49,400. So we're using all of this. We're using all of the other buckets, you know, like 1 to 3, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 3. So I'm using all of the projections that I covered in the preview video for the Charles Schwab Challenge, and it worked out. We scored, it scored 527.5 points. That was 22 points behind the optimal and 30 points above the GPP winning lineup score. I had created another lineup that used a 9K golfer. I think I went with, I think it was like Scheffler, Rose, Grillo. Who did it actually choose? Can't remember, but it did have, actually no. I don't think it went Rose. I think it went Burns. I think it went here. I think I had Haley in it and Ricky Fowler. Meaning I need one more. Was it Harry Hall? Nope. Too expensive. Okay, so I can't remember who it was, and I'm not going to waste your time, but it was definitely doable to get there, and you used $49,700 as opposed to $49,900. And only used one low 6K. Actually, only used one 6K period. It's going to really bother me. I know it started with Scheffler, and I know Grillo was in it. And I go 97, and I think it was Fowler. Fowler was in it as well. Can't be, though. This is too expensive. Maybe it dropped Fowler. 78, 79, and I want to say a $7,800 golfer. Who was it? 78 was this guy. Where's my $7,700 golfer? I wonder if it was Ryan Fox. Yeah, I think this is very close to what the lineup was, and I don't think it was Paul Haley. It was Harry Hall. Yeah, 49.7. I think this was the one. I'm guessing, so take this for what it's worth, but I'm pretty sure by memory this is what the lineup was. And this scored 517 points. So it still scored more. Yep, this is exactly what it was. Okay. Yes, this is exactly what it was. Memory's coming back to me. So we didn't even use a 9K golfer. It went Scotty Scheffler, Ricky Fowler. That's what it started with. Then we went Grillo. You had Harry Hall in it, Harris English, and Ryan Fox. And again, it would have scored 517. That's better than the GPP lineup. So it still would have taken down a GPP. But what I have on the screen is 527.5 points. Now, just to show you how it follows the sweet spot process, we also have to remember that we use our marquee tee times, which are the best 9 groups in the field based off their sweet spot score, their cumulative sweet spot score. So I just highlight all 3 golfers. The rule here is pick 2 to 4 groups and 1 golfer from that group. No more than 1. We don't want to pair golfers up together. And the reason it's 2 to 4 is for the last 100 weeks, over 90% of the tournaments have had 2 to 4 golfers from the marquee tee times being the optimal lineup. The optimal lineup. Not just the GPP lineup, not just the sweet spot optimal, but the optimal lineup. Guess what? We have 3 golfers in the optimal lineup with the marquee tee times, and they weren't playing together. Scotty Scheffler, Ricky Fowler, Adam Schenk. So right there, 3 golfers, boom. Sweet spot process as a whole was perfect. Now, building lineups might be a little bit more challenging. So I do the sweet spot optimal lineup, and that was Scotty Scheffler and Adam Schenk. But of course, if you saw what I did with the original one, or with the other one, we went Scotty Scheffler, Ricky Fowler. I don't think I see anyone else that would have been in that. Yeah, I don't see anyone else. So no matter what, the sweet spot process was successful. The marquee tee times hit. You even had some of the GPP win lineups here, or the GPP win lineup had 2 of those golfers in it as well. I think it just makes lineup building easier. It helps give you rules in building lineups, following the sweet spot process with marquee tee times, with the bucket system, all that good stuff. And it gets you on these golfers. Now, I put in $100. I won $180. So I get $80 back, and every single one of my lineups was built off the optimizer that I use. And again, if you're interested in that, you just got to contact me right there. SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com. Say, I had like the optimizer for the Memorial Tournament, and I'll send it to you. I got no problem with that. You have to be subscribed, and you got to comment on the video. This one or any of the other ones, I'm probably going to ask you, if I can't already tell between your email and your YouTube handle, who you are on YouTube. So if you have like some weird NZ21212, as your YouTube handle, and your name is Chris, and you're emailing me from a Gmail account, I'm not going to be able to, do 1-for-1. So I'm probably going to ask you who you are on YouTube. See where you commented before I send you the optimizer. So again, I like to reward those that participate. That's the end of the review, though. Sweet spot process 100% successful because the Sweet Spot Optimal beat the GPP winning lineup. But of course, we all went over the bucket system. That was successful too. So that leaves us with one last thing to discuss. I'm going to try to go through this rapid fire. It's going to be the bucket system for the Memorial Tournament. I'm going to go ahead and hide some of these columns. Now, if you want to follow along with me, you certainly can. Actually, let me open this back up. If you want to follow along with me when it comes to the bucket system, there's a cheat sheet. You can find a link for it in the description. It's going to look like this. Basically, just go to the bucket system tab, hit the filter, and you'll have access to the filter as well. So you can use the filter on here however you like. I will be using the same thing, and just so you understand that it is the exact same thing that I'm covering, I'll zoom in for you because it does. I'm hiding some other columns, but it makes it a little easier to see that it is a 1-for-1 that you're looking at. If I just scroll one more over, you'll see. Okay. So I will put a filter on this. I suggest you put a filter on yours if you're following along with me. And we're just going to go one by one through all the stats. So you can see the stat over here in column A for the bucket. We're going to start with our last year bucket. When we take a look at this, when it comes to the bucket system, I want you to focus on these two columns: max projection, min projection. Whatever's in our min projection, we round up. Whatever's in our max, or I'm sorry, in our min projection, we round down. So let me just repeat that just to avoid confusion. Anything in the min projection, we round down to the whole number. Anything in the max projection, we round up. So you can see in this very first bucket, last year ones, our min is 1.55, our max is 2.59. So this really reads 1 to 3. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, what I like to do personally in these preview videos is also kind of consult this column over here, which is another max projection column. This incorporates all the sweet spot scores for that bucket and kind of readjust the projection based off of, is it a strong bucket or is it a weak bucket? Sometimes these go down, sometimes they go up. So like 2.34 goes down from 2.59. 1.54 is actually going up from 1.48. So you can kind of see. I think what the conservative projection, it actually kind of shrinks. You know, the projections, you're not going to see such a wide range. Basically, all that I'm telling you, why I'm telling you this is there is one important rule. I always require a 2-point buffer between the minimum and the maximum. So if we look at this bucket right here, 0.16 rounds down to 0. 0.26 rounds up to 1. I need a 2-point buffer. So really, this would be 0 to 2 no matter what. So keep that in mind when we go through this. I usually always remind you when we're looking at these different buckets that, hey, you can choose up to 2 from this bucket, although it says 0 to 1. If for whatever reason, let's pretend like this one up here, this 2.34 goes below 2, and it's like 1.99, and the projection over here says 1 to 3. This 1.99 brings the minimum down to 0. So this would actually read 0 to 3. That would be the new projection, and that's what we would go with. So now that we get that out of the way, let's go ahead and get through these buckets. Last year 1, we're projecting 1 to 3. And when we look at the conservative max projection, it's 2.34. That is 3. There are some other stats we can look at. We can look at the success rate. This is taking all of the golfers into account that have ever been in this bucket, which of course is top 20 finishes from the tournament the year before. 12%, not super high. 20 is where we're kind of looking for. Anything north of like 16, 18% is a good thing. Now, we do have an 88% frequency rate, meaning all but 1 year. I'm pretty sure of 9 years, 8 of those years, we had at least one guy from this bucket inside the top 10. Now we have 16 in that bucket where we normally have 18, but we have a pretty high strength of field point total that goes towards it. So keep that in mind. Now, if we take a look at this bucket, again, you can follow along with me on the cheat sheet. There's a link in the description. Put a filter on that. Put the DraftKings filter. And then go to the last year bucket right here. Clear everything out and just select last year one. From this bucket, remember, we want 1 to 3 golfers. I shouldn't even say we want. I'm projecting 1 to 3 golfers to be inside the top 10. So if that gives you confidence to play 1, 2, or 3 golfers, by all means do so. There are some really big hitters up here. Cantlay and Rahm have tremendous, well, I should say Cantlay has really good course history. So too does Rahm if you give him a first place finish instead of a withdraw. So that's one thing to keep in consideration, because his course history isn't going to look super great on my spreadsheets because I include that withdraw from COVID. So he has good course history. So too does Patrick Cantlay. Rory and Xander have okay, like actually pretty good course history. And then you can see some of these other guys have pretty good course history as well, where I'm looking at this column right here. So 1 to 3 golfers being inside the top 10, here's one way to look at it. Instantly, you might be thinking, I want 3 golfers from this bucket. But how likely is it that Rahm, Cantlay, and either Rory or Xander finish inside the top 10? Probably pretty high, right? So literally those 3 or 4 golfers could finish inside the top 10. They would satisfy the projection, and you might only be able to play 1 or at most 2 of those guys. So you got to think to yourself, what's the likelihood of, 2 or more of these golfers finishing inside the top 10 versus 2 or more golfers, or actually really 1 or more golfers from this section finishing inside the top 10. But, to me, I kind of look at it like, all right, this gives me confidence playing one of these 10K golfers. I got no issue starting here. Whether it's Rahm, Rory, Cantlay, or Xander, I kind of already like it already. These are golfers I want to build my lineups around. The hard part is combining them with, another guy from this bucket, or just starting with, someone as expensive as like Jon Rahm. But to me, what I tend to do is, okay, Rahm, do we like Sung Jae enough to play him? Maybe. How about Jordan? Sith Theegala's rating out really well in my model. So you can kind of see, you can add some of these guys together. Like, what if it's Rahm and Keith Mitchell from this bucket that finish inside the top 10? Satisfies the projections. And, I guess that's all that I have to say is it satisfies the projections. Keith Mitchell makes lineup building a little easier if you pair him up with Rahm. So too would be like a Denny McCarthy or even Siwoo Kim at $8,000. I mean, it's really up to you. Do you see 2 or more golfers from this bucket finishing inside the top 10? And if you do, can you realistically pair them together? Those are the kind of the questions you have to consider when selecting golfers from this bucket. But the projection is 1 to 3. I don't see it failing. We're definitely getting 1, if not 2. 3's borderline. It's borderline. Let's just put it that way. I don't know if I see 3 from this bucket, but I definitely see 2. And I'm not going to be afraid of playing 3 guys, by the way. I'm telling you, I might not see 3, but I'm also going to let the optimizer do its work, and it might select 3 guys, and that's fine. I'm cool with that. Going to the next bucket. Last year 2s is at the 20 to 40 range of finishing positions last year. 0 to 2 is a projection, so it's not a for sure thing. 88% frequency rate, 15% success rate. We actually have 1 more golfer in it than we usually do. A pretty low strength of field. And really the conservative max projection over here doesn't boost it up enough. So 0 to 2 is that projection. And in this bucket, we have Jason Day, Wyndham Clark, Shane Lowry, 8K golfers and above. Only 3 7K golfers, and then it drops into the 6K range. So 0 to 2, I think, is a very solid projection of finishing inside the top 10. I would not play more than 2 of these guys together. So if, say, you liked Jason Day and Shane Lowry, don't pair them up with anyone else. I just don't see this bucket getting 3 or more. So just only select 2. The next bucket is 0 to 2. Those are last year 3s. That's that 40 to 60 range. Very similar, like everything that I just said about the last year 2 bucket, you could apply here for the last year 3 bucket. Let's see what golfers we have here. It actually starts with Victor Hovland at $9,700. Cam Young at 88. Cam Davis at 77. Kuchar, Kirk, and KH Lee, 7K golfers and above. The rest of them in the 6K range. Now, this is a bit more interesting because I could actually see 3 of these guys finishing inside the top 10. However, they're very volatile. And this might help curb us from playing too many of these guys. Because I do like Hovland. I do like Young. I don't mind going back to Cam Davis. And I wouldn't mind playing like Matt Kuchar in my lineups or Chris Kirk. KH Lee's kind of a, what would you call it? A wild card. I don't know if I want KH Lee in my lineups. And these 6K golfers, I don't mind playing 1 or 2 of them here and there. But now it really makes me kind of question, like, I could see myself building a Victor Hovland, Cam Young, and Cam Davis lineup without even seeing this bucket. Like, it seems like a pretty good start. But knowing the projection 0 to 2, I'm going to stick with it. I kid you not. I follow the bucket system to the 100% mark. You know, like I'm following it blindly or whatever you want to call it. Like I'm very strict with the rules that I do on the bucket system, and I will follow this. So I'm not going to put those 3 golfers together. And we just saw in the review of the Charles Schwab Challenge, you know, we basically had 100% success rate with the bucket projections. So I'm just going to stick with it. Going to the next one, last year 4s, 0 to 1. Nothing really changes with the conservative projection. I think we only have 3 golfers in this bucket. I'll double check. Yeah, 3. Fowler, Scott, and Brandon Wu. Hey, guess what? Don't play Ricky Fowler and Adam Scott together. Now, granted, remember, I just went on a spiel with this in the review video, and I kind of talked about it here in the with the bucket system. We need a minimum of a 2-point threshold between the minimum and the maximum. We have 0 to 1 as the true projection, but that 2-point buffer makes it 0 to 2 as the actual projection. But let's not kid ourselves. I think if you played 2 of these guys, it's probably not good. But if you were, it's Ricky Fowler, Adam Scott, right? You're not going to do Brandon Wu with Adam Scott or Ricky Fowler with Brandon Wu. Just, I think that'd be silly. Adam Scott, 6th in my model, $8,000. The optimizer will be selecting a lot of Adam Scott. I'm actually okay with that. I don't like the 60, like finishing inside like 60th place from the year before. Usually never a good omen. No, that's just superstition, really. But this bucket really never produces results in any tournament. Like I saw Jordan Spieth at the Waste Management Open at one time, having this finish, having or not. Maybe it wasn't there. It was at a course that he's really good at. He was in this bucket, missed the cut for a different tournament, not this one. So it just, to me, it just validated this is not a good bucket to choose golfers from. But I do like Ricky and I do like Adam Scott a lot. So it's going to be hard for me not to play one, if not both of them. So we'll see if the optimizer selects them. I might actually just make sure that the optimizer doesn't select more than one of them. Maybe I'll do 2 here and there, but we'll try to keep it 1 or less. The next bucket is 0 to 2. Those are missed cuts from last year. Morikawa, Matsuyama, and then it goes 7K and below. I'm not going to talk about all of them. Yeah, I could see somewhere between 0 to 2. And really, the actual projection was like 1 point something, right? 1.06 to 1.76. I could see at least one of these guys, no matter what. Like, I think I'm going to make sure I select one, golfer from here. I really like Hideki Matsuyama this week. I've heard a lot of other people do too, but I think it's a good play. Patrick Rogers at 7,100 seems like a kind of a value play. And like, I don't mind like a Kevin Streelman or a Putnam. $6,400 seems pretty cheap for Putnam. He's 45th in my model, by the way. Yeah, I guess I don't have an issue with any of the golfers 7K and above. Also don't have issues with like Putnam, Streelman. Smalley's kind of iffy. Yeah. Kind of how I look at this bucket. So 0 to 2, yeah, I could see at least one for sure being inside the top 10, if not 2. I think I pumped the brakes on Colin Morikawa though. I'm probably not going to play any of Colin Morikawa. I would take the field in this bucket over Colin Morikawa every single time. So take that for what it's worth. Last bucket is our did not plays from last year. So golfers who didn't play this tournament last year would be in this bucket. 1 to 3 is the projection. Let's take a look. Scotty Scheffler is in this bucket. Now he has course history and it's good course history. So that's something to take note of. And we have Hatton, Justin Thomas, Matt Fitzpatrick. Hold on. I don't think that's right. I think Fitzpatrick played here last year. I'm doing an update with the database. Matt Fitzpatrick and Matthew Fitzpatrick doesn't add up. So where are we at? Yeah, so he missed the cut last year, so he should not be in this bucket. That's what I thought. My apologies. How do we have course history on him then? Or do we not? We don't. Okay. We can make that update real quick. So yeah, let's hate doing it on the fly, but let's just do it. His course history is 60.25. Wow, that's not great. 60.25. I'm gonna have to update this from a different spreadsheet. 85. Okay, so he's really in last week bucket 5. And I need to update that over here because it's also going to update our bucket projections. 60.25, right? Yep. Then we go back. It almost pushes this one over too. It's super close. See how they updated because of that, and this is still 1 to 3. So my apologies once again. I always got to look at that. So now he gets kicked out. And it's Burns, Thomas, Hatton, and Scheffler 8K and above. And it's just a bunch of 7K golfers, including Tom Kim. Yeah, I could see up to 3 golfers from this bucket being inside the top 10. Because we also have some good 6K golfers that I don't mind playing, like Bramlett, Suh, Gordon, Pendrith, Brendan Todd, Austin Eckroat. There's a lot of good 6K golfers. Even Ben Griffin is down here. That's crazy. Ooh, Chris Gotterup. That's an interesting name. Haven't seen him on haven't seen him in any of these events as of late. So I don't know. He had like temporary membership last year and was in a bunch of events, but I haven't really seen much of him this year. I think he's a sneaky play. Anyways, I could see up to 3. If you wanted to select 3 golfers from this bucket to be in your lineups, by all means do so, because it's a good bucket to select golfers from. Okay. That takes care of your last year buckets. We're going to get into the last week buckets and start with our last week ones. These are golfers who top 20 last week's event. So the Charles Schwab Challenge. Any golfer here is in this bucket that finished inside the top 20. There are 14 golfers in that bucket where we would normally see 15. 100% frequency rate of producing a top 10 finisher, by the way. Which is very interesting. Not the same for optimal lineups and not the same for top 5 frequencies. Actually, top 5 frequencies is pretty low. So let's take a look. By the way, if you follow along with me, make sure all your filters are cleared out and then go into the last week ones. Put 1 as the only bucket you want to select. We have Scotty, Victor, Sammy Burns, Ricky Fowler, all 8K and above. And we've got Henley Grillo, English in the 7K range. I was trying to combine Shank and Suh. Justin Suh, Adam Shank, Streelman, like I just mentioned, I like this week. Eckroat, same. Hubbard, Chad Ramey, and David Lipsky. Projection 0 to 2. But we have a 100% frequency rate of having one golfer from this bucket inside the top 10. And also it's not 100% frequency of this bucket producing an optimal lineup golfer, which to me means usually an expensive golfer from this bucket is inside the top 10. That just kind of points to Scotty Scheffler and Victor Hovland. So we kind of already saw Scotty being in the last year 6 bucket, which you would want a golfer from. A lot of good golfers from that bucket. The only issue with Scotty this week is he has played 3 weeks in a row leading into this event. Now he had 3 weeks off prior to that, but can he like go 5th, 2nd, 3rd? And by the way, PGA Championship was a hard golf course. Oh, by the way, so too was the Charles Schwab Challenge. So is he fatigued? Is he tired? Or is he just young enough where it doesn't matter? Like, how old is he? 26 years old. Is he just young enough where it doesn't matter? Is he tired? So I don't know, man. Scotty Scheffler seems like a pretty decent play. But this bucket is 0 to 2. Keep that in mind. That's the projection for it. I'm not going to talk about the rest of those golfers. We'll move on to the next one. 0 to 2 for our last week 2s. This is that 20 to 40 range from the Charles Schwab Challenge. And Colin Morikawa leads it, but we kind of already talked about with the last week 5 or the last year 5 bucket. Don't want to play Colin Morikawa. I'm cool with fading him. I'll put him in one winner take all lineup, maybe 2, and just if anything, I'll get my money back. But I'm not gonna waste my time playing Colin Morikawa this week. Siwoo Kim is interesting. I actually don't mind that whatsoever. But our projection is 0 to 2. The rest of these names I don't like at all. Like, I could make an argument for Ryan Fox at $7,100. That's pretty cheap. The rest are just wild cards. So in my opinion, this just makes Colin Morikawa's value that much worse. I just don't want to play Colin Morikawa at this event. Siwoo Kim's kind of iffy. But I'm leaning more on not playing Siwoo Kim either. And again, this is a 0 to 2 projection bucket, meaning maybe we don't get a single golfer from this bucket inside the top 10. Maybe not. So that's really interesting. Hard decisions for that one. To me, it's maybe just one golfer or 0. I'm definitely not doing 2, and I'm definitely not doing Morikawa. I also might not do Siwoo Kim. So I no conviction for me out of that bucket. Last week 3s is 0 to 2, as is last week 4, as is last week 5. So we're going to do all 3 of these buckets. I'm not going to come back to this page, but 0 to 2, 0 to 2. The next one, the missed cuts, is actually a little bit more formidable, but also probably staying away from that bucket too. So last week 3, remember, projection 0 to 2. Yeah, KH Lee at 7,300, Tom Hoagie. Now there's some golfers I like here. I like the top 4. Actually, I like the top 5. And I actually don't mind the rest of the guys. I don't mind anybody in this bucket, including Justin Lauer, who made the cut last week, by the way. Didn't score a lot of points, but still serviceable. Yeah. So 0 to 2. I'm cool with that projection. I could see 0. I could see 2. We'll see what the optimizer does. Last week 4s. Yeah, there's only 4 golfers here. That 0 to 2 is probably really 0 to 1. And nobody of like name value whatsoever that I like. So we'll just skip past that. The next one's 0 to 2, but the actual projection is 1 to 2. There are golfers I like here. Now, with it being 0-2, that puts a little bit of risk on golfers like Sungjae and Jordan Spieth, but they also were in the last year one bucket, which is top 20 finish here last year at the Memorial. I don't mind playing them. Whether it's Sungjae or Jordan. I probably won't play them both together, and I'd advocate for you not to do so either. Because again, this projection is 0-2. The rest of the guys are also super interesting because, like, I could make an argument for Cam Davis. Probably could make an argument for Denny and Chris Kirk. Maybe not so much Taylor Moore, but I do like Buckley. Davis Riley at $6,900. That's not a bad price tag for a winner on tour, despite it being a team event. Bramlett seems like a good play. And a lot of these other guys seem like pretty decent plays. So 0-2. I'm kind of hard pressed not to think one of these guys up here doesn't finish inside the top 10. Kind of giving a little bit more look towards Jordan Spieth. I think that's interesting. I'm going to move on to the last bucket, which is not playing the week before. You got a lot of strength of field points. Almost 50% of your strength of field is in this bucket because a lot of our golfers that are inside the top 50 of the OWGR didn't play the Charles Schwab Challenge that are in this event. So this projection is 2-5, and that doesn't change even with the max projection over here. So last week's sixes, you're kind of going to want to anchor. You might want to anchor some of your lineups here. And we start with Rahm. We also have Rory, Cantlay, and Xander. So 2-5 is the projection. Easy enough to see 2 here, but maybe you can't put those guys together. That gives you access to 3 more golfers or 4 more golfers down here. Yeah, there are some names that I like. I think Jason Day is just, I'm not touching it, although he is an Ohio native. Not so much a native, that's where his residency is. I don't think I go to Jason Day. Tyrrell Hatton, on the other hand, seems kind of interesting. A golfer I don't think I would have wanted to play, but also don't mind. I don't know if he'll be low ownership, but he's 8th in my model. Just kind of crazy. JT's, I almost feel like a forgotten. I wouldn't say he's going to be forgotten, but I don't think a lot of people are going to want to play him. His recent form has been pretty awful. So he's also in this bucket. Matt Fitzpatrick is in this bucket. Cam Young is in this bucket. Matsuyama. You know, if you wanted to start 10-9-8, it's a pretty solid choice. Like, you wanted to save some money and go Xander at 10-2, maybe Hatton at 9-3, and let's say Hideki Matsuyama. You're leaving you're using up $28,200, meaning you're leaving $21,900 on the table. That, if you average it out, you have like about $7,200 left to build lineups. Well, I've already covered 10-9-8. You just need to find 2 7s and a 6. That should be enough to do just that. So I'm really liking starting this way. And this fits inside that projection of 2-5. I don't think it's that easy to do with, say, Rahm, but this leaves you exactly $7,000 remaining for each player, which is very doable. Because you could go like a $6,400 golfer. Here, let's just do it with the golfers that we see here. I'm not selecting any of these guys for any reason, but let's say I like Taylor Pendrith. And say we like Keith Mitchell. Now I got to find someone who is, oh, that's too expensive. $6,700. Yeah, probably not do that. What if I like Seamus? And use someone 7,200. So that's 50. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of hard to swallow, honestly. Maybe we don't do 67 and go to like 64. But you could do 2 low 7Ks, a 6K, and a 10-9-8 start going with Rahm, Hatton, and Matsuyama. There's obviously some playing around to do with those lineups, but not terrible. Honestly, you could do worse, put it that way. So that covers your last week buckets. Going into course history. Having the best course history, almost provides 100% frequency of finishing inside the top 10. At least one golfer from this bucket finishing inside the top 10. Now this bucket is your best course history. That is having an average finishing position between 0 and 20th at this event dating back to 2013. We only have 5 golfers in the bucket this year, where we normally see around 8. We never see more than 1 in the optimal lineup. That's a 66% frequency rate, though. So out of the last, I imagine we're looking at the last 6 years, has to be. 4 out of 6 years, we have 1 guy from this bucket in the optimal lineup. So projection 0 to 2 doesn't change any with the conservative projection over here. So let's take a look at who those golfers are. Again, if you're following along with me on the cheat sheet, just make sure you've got no other filters anywhere else. Clear everything out of the course history bucket and just select one. Lo and behold, we've got Scotty Scheffler, Patrick Cantlay, Sahith Theegala, Davis Riley, Garrick Higgo. I would say choose 1. At most, probably not 2. And this isn't for certain, but I'm liking the idea of picking golfers from this range. Now, I'll say this. Davis Riley and Garrick Higgo are out of my mind. I'm really just looking at these 3 golfers here. So we're looking at those projections again at 0 out of 2. It's a decent success rate of finding the top 5 for golfers in this bucket. At least 1 golfer from this bucket. Man, this is difficult because it's not a lot of golfers in that bucket. 0 to 2 is a very, very friendly projection. I think it's safe. And I could see, it's hard not to think like Scotty or Patrick Cantlay won't finish inside the top 10. Could be an end thing, like they both could finish inside the top 10. And you just need to select the correct golfer. I guess what I'll do this in the strategy video. I'll go through and just take a look at like the best course history. Like there's Cantlay in 2022. Excuse me. He was your best course history guy there. 2020. I guess I'll do it right now. Guess what? Patrick Cantlay was your best course history guy there. So 2 was Scott, but he didn't finish inside the top 10. In 2020, we had Harris English. Okay, so that was where we didn't have 1 inside the top 10. Weird. In 2019, hey, look at that. Patrick Cantlay. He's your top guy there with course history. 2018, Benny Ann was your guy with the top course history. Interesting. And then Matt Kuchar, 9,400, had really good course history in 2017. We're only seeing 1 guy, by the way. We're never seeing 2. I mean, close, like Tony Finau would be close. He had 1 event under his belt leading into it. But you got Matt Kuchar again. So it's the same guys, by the way. The same guys that have good course history show up every single year and do well. So that kind of lends itself, in my opinion, to Scheffler or Cantlay. So, and they're 1 and 2 in the model, by the way. So it might just be the thought of starting with 1 of these guys and going from there. I think the clear picks are Scotty, Rahm, and Cantlay to start your lineups with. You might want to get cute and go with Xander because of ownership reasons or whatever, but it just kind of screams out. Okay, again, this isn't an anchor bucket, so it's not telling you to select a golfer from here, but I just wanted to do a deep dive because these are very prominent names that you can either just disregard or play. It's just crazy. Let's move on. Course history 2, that's at 20 to 40 range. Looks like we want 1 to 3, and that stays the same with our conservative max projection over there. I will move this to course history 2s. And now we have Rory and Xander. So we definitely, okay, so the projection for this bucket is 1 to 3. And I think as long as Rory or Xander don't finish outside the top 5, I think they're worth the play. So the fact that this bucket is telling us, or the projection of this bucket is telling us that 1 to 3 golfers will finish inside the top 10 from this bucket, give me way more confidence to play someone like Rory or Xander, which is very conflicting because obviously I was just talking about Rahm. I was just talking about Scotty, as well as Patrick Cantlay. Those are the other 3 of 5 golfers inside the top 10. This rounds out the remaining 2. So these are all 5 of your 10K golfers. My opinion, going with a 10K golfer this week, seems pretty smart. Obviously, they're the best golfers anyways, but if you're trying to galaxy brain yourself and not play a 10K golfer, I think that might be foolish. That's why I said what I said. But we also have Tyrrell Hatton here. So if you did want to go Cantlay, remember when we were looking at the last week buckets? We had Cantlay, Hatton, and Matsuyama in the same bucket. Well, here we go. We have Hatton here. We had Cantlay in the other one. Matsuyama's probably going to show up in the next one, and we're going to want to select one from each of those. That might be the move. That might be the play. We also have Jordan Spieth here, Corey Connors, Adam Scott. Remember, he was in that bucket with Ricky Fowler, where you wanted to select 0 to 1 or 0 to 2. So, super interesting there. I'm not going to talk about the rest of these guys, but these buckets so far are providing kind of a challenge in who to select. Next one's course history 3, projections 2 to 5. We have 40% of our strength of field points here. We normally see around 2 golfers from this bucket inside the top 10. I mean, we have at least 2, 100% frequency rate. Not so much 100% frequency rate when it comes to optimal lineups, but I think that's 4 out of 6 years. We see at least 1 in the optimal lineup. And a low success rate for top 5s, but don't hang your hat on that too much because this is a very large bucket, usually every single year. 31 golfers. We have 44 this week. So I do believe we're going to see at least 2. The projection's 2 to 5. And I think Rahm is in this bucket because of his withdrawal from the COVID thing. Because I do count that towards your course history. So if I actually use the course history page and I scroll down to Rahm, so we have a 10th, 90th, a first, 85. 90 is a withdraw. If I move this to 1, because he was leading that event by a ton, that changes to 24.25, which actually puts him in that bucket we were just talking about. Now, hold on. Let me see what happens if I change his course history to 24.5. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like this, right? This bucket we were just looking at, it was 0 to 2. It now jumps up to... Actually, was it 0 to 2? No, it was still 1 to 3. So it barely moves. It goes 1.3 to 2.1. And it's 1.34 to 2.24. So it just slightly moves up. Okay, so it doesn't really do anything. So there we go. I'm just in the back button because if I move this forward, you see how it says 24.50. Move it back, it's 46.5. Course history, yep, everything's back to normal. Okay, so Rahm is in this bucket. And even if he was in another bucket, it doesn't really change the projections all that much. But he is in here with a bunch of other really good golfers. This projection, once again, is 2 to 5. Doesn't really change with the conservative number here. And we know, at least I know I'm not playing Colin Morikawa. I'm also not playing Jason Day, and I'm probably staying away from Justin Thomas. I really like Rahm. I really like Hovland. I don't mind going to Im, but I also really like Cam Young and Hideki Matsuyama. So just these top guys here, there's 5. I could see each one of these guys finishing inside the top 10. That would cover your projection, meaning you could ignore the rest. But we know that's not how it works with DraftKings or just fantasy golf in general. But 2 to 5 is the projection. And it could be like we only have one 10K golfer out of this bucket. So you literally could play at least 2 for sure. I think just any 2 of these, like Rahm and Morikawa would be pretty tough. Rahm and Hovland would also be pretty tough. You probably couldn't use an 8K golfer. You'd have to drop straight to the 7Ks. But anybody down here paired up with Rahm would be just fine. And really, you could probably go Rahm and some of these 7K golfers like Mitchell and like say Patrick Rogers. We get our big hitters out there. We could do something like that and build a pretty decent lineup. But M like in Hideki Matsuyama. Remember, we were kind of just talking about that with the last. So far, a lot of things are pointing towards like Cantlay, Rahm, or Scheffler, starting with one of those 3, pairing them up with Tyrrell Hatton and Hideki Matsuyama. It's seeming pretty good. So I'm not going to talk about the rest of these guys. There's a ton of golfers in this bucket. Remember, the projection is 2 to 5. The next 3 buckets are 0 to 2, and really nothing of significance to talk about when it comes to those. So let's just take a quick look at each of them. Course history 4. Remember, this is 0 to 2. Yeah, not much to talk about. Definitely a lot of question marks in here. Burns and Wyndham Clark and Cam Davis, by the way. Well, actually, these 4. Hoagie, Davis, Clark, Burns. I think those are all good names. And I could see one of them finishing inside the top 10. But this is a 0 to 2 projection. You could literally have 0 finish inside the top 10. Course history 5. Ooh, this is an easy 0 to 2. Although there are some interesting names, like Kurt Kitayama is an interesting name. So too is Taylor Moore. So too is Ryan Fox. I won't be anchoring any of my lineups around these guys. I'll let the optimizer do its work. And then golfers who have 0 course history is not Matt Fitzpatrick, by the way. He's actually in bucket 4. That again. Tom Kim, first time playing. Taylor Montgomery. Thomas Dietrich. Just a few names, but interesting names nonetheless. A lot of really good, great talent, by the way. Remember, the projection here is 0 to 2, so don't get caught up with some of these younger guys. I don't want a lot. In fact, if we just go look at the raw numbers for the buckets, and I go to top 10, let's do course history. So course history is this top bucket right here, and we take a look all the way across. We had 4 in 2020, then 1, 1, 1, 2 in 2015. So let's go to 2020. Why were there 4? Ryan Palmer, who was a veteran, Matt Wallace, a European, Henrik Norlander was a true rookie, Xinjun Zhang, another rookie. So very interesting. 2 rookies there. Huh. Then we had 1 in 2019, Martin Keimer, so a European golfer. 2018, we also had 1, Joaquin Niemann, who would have been a rookie. Very talented golfer. Do we see anything else that kind of meets some criteria? No, it doesn't look like it. And 2017, we had, nope, 0 golfers with 0 course history. John Cran would have been a veteran in 2016. Like, he'd played a lot. Same with Francesco Molinari. Tony Finau, I might have been a rookie here. So a good golfer. So yeah. That goes back to the last course history. So having no course history, and these are your golfers, 1 seems safe if you wanted to play 1, but maybe not doing more than 1, because only 1 year did we have 2 or more. We had 4, obviously. Do we have a European that's in this bucket? Like a decent European name? Maybe Thriston Lawrence? Anybody like more prominent? I guess Thomas Dietrich, right? That might be a reason to play Thomas Dietrich. I don't really see anyone else that I would consider, I guess, Ben Taylor. Palmer, Norlander was 6,300. Matt Wallace was 7,000. Keimer was 68. Joaquin Niemann was 73. Okay. So Thomas Dietrich just looks to be our best bet. I guess Steven Yeager being a German, maybe, but he calls Tennessee his home state. I don't know. I guess not. I think Thomas Dietrich would be our best bet to fill that role from this bucket. Unless we just count international golfers, then we can use Tom Kim. Interesting stuff. Okay. Going to the next bucket. Recent form. Recent form 1 is having the best recent form. Our projection 0 to 2 to finish inside the top 10. And not even like a super good frequency rate of finishing inside the top 10. We have 6 golfers in that bucket this year, where we normally see around 6. Healthy strength of field points going into it. Now, I already know who's in this bucket, and it's kind of scary to consider that 0 to 2, and that's a 50% frequency rate of finishing inside the top 10. We have Scotty Scheffler. Oh yeah, Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, Tyrrell Hatton. This kind of puts a little roadblock in the lineup building, because I really wanted to go Scotty or Cantlay, pair him up with Tyrrell Hatton. Now, the projection allows us to do that. You can have 0 to 2. That is what the actual projection is. So we could have up to 2. And all that means is if you do go Scotty or Cantlay and you pair him up with Tyrrell Hatton, you just don't play Corey Connors or Adam Scott, which you probably wouldn't do anyways because it would be too expensive. This is super interesting. Huh. I mean, I don't know what else to say. 0 to 2 is a fair projection, and I actually do see 2 golfers. So I could, as much as I kind of said pump the brakes or there's a roadblock, I'm actually okay with it. I think it kind of still gives us, you know, credence to play Scheffler or Cantlay with Tyrrell Hatton. Okay, that works. The next bucket is recent form 2s, and we want 2 to 5. That doesn't change even with the conservative max projection. So coming in with good recent form has proven to be good at this event. That's Jon Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Victor Hovland, Justin Thomas, Sung J M, Matt Fitzpatrick, Hideki Matsuyama. So there's our Matsuyama pick, by the way. Okay, hey, I'm actually liking this a little bit more. Just the thought process. This bucket is 2 to 5, right? That last one we were just looking at was 0 to 2. I had said I liked Rahm, Scheffler, or Cantlay paired up with Hatton and Matsuyama. Well, Hatton would just be counted as one guy from that last bucket. Seems pretty reasonable. So maybe we go Rahm, Hatton, Matsuyama. I think I have a huge choice when it comes to building lineups, starting with Rahm. Either going Rahm, Hatton, Matsuyama, or Scheffler, Hatton, Matsuyama, or Cantlay, Hatton, Matsuyama. I mean, it's Monday night. Too early to think about those things, but I'd like to start the creative process right now, like Monday, and try to figure out who to build those lineups around. By the way, Dietrich, who we were just talking about in the last week's 6 bucket, I'm sorry, the course history 6 bucket is also in this bucket. So 2 to 5, remember, that's the projection to be inside the top 10. Seems pretty solid. We'll see. We'll do some more digging, but that seems pretty good to start with. I'm not going to talk about the rest of the guys. This is a good bucket to choose from. There's 2 to 5. Remember that. The next one is actually 1 to 4, which I find very interesting. I always think it's interesting when 1 to 4 shows up, but it makes sense. Guess what? I'm not playing either of those 2 guys. Probably also not playing Spieth. Although I'm very, like, I don't want to. That leaves really no one else to play that's of a high price range. So, like, Sam Burns, Shane Lowry, those are some decisions to make. Tom Kim is here from the course history 6 bucket we were just looking at with Thomas Dietrich in it. Siwoo Kim. Yeah, lots of interesting names here. A ton of 7K golfers, so that helps when trying to use 7 or trying to think of which 7K golfers to play. You know, Ryan Fox might seem like an interesting choice. So too is Steven Yeager. Yeah, okay. Again, I'll let the buckets do their work, or the optimizer do its work. I don't know who to select from here. But I kind of really giving up on the Colin Morikawa and Jason Day, any lineups with them in it. Moving on to the next one, 0 to 2 out of the next couple buckets. So let's fly through those ones. 0 to 2, starting with Cam Young, and then recent form 4 is just not really having super good recent form. By the way, Cam Young doesn't have good course history and doesn't have good recent form heading into this event. That's crazy, right? Why is his recent form so bad? Oh, that's why. 51st at the RBC Heritage, 59th at the Wells Fargo Championship, a missed cut at the PGA. Interesting. Okay. I don't like that. Didn't see that before. That's alarming. That's concerning. This bucket is 0 to 2, by the way. So I think I just don't think about playing Cam Young at all. Matsuyama seems like the play. Although Cam Young, this seems like a good course fit for him. Yeah, maybe I just don't. Say that I did and don't. 0 to 2 out of this bucket seems very, very, very reasonable. Because it's all 6K golfers. Okay, let's move on. Recent form 5s. This is also 0 to 2 and really not worth mentioning. We can move on. Glover and Kisner in there. No, thank you. Recent form 6s. Probably also not playing this. Like I was talking about, I haven't seen Chris Gotterup in a long time. I also haven't seen Brandt Snedeker in a long time. I'm not going to play the club twirling fool Sam Bennett. I don't care. Just don't care. I don't care how well he did at the Masters. I'm not playing him. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. I could consider Chris Gotterup though. I don't know what his game is. I don't know where it's at, but seems interesting. Might even buy some Rainmaker cards of his. It's got to be cheap. So that covers all of your recent form buckets. Some really interesting choices that we just went over. Let's go over some salaries. The salary buckets. We don't really have to talk about these golfers. Like we don't have to go salary by salary. I'm just going to tell you what those price tags are. Just remember they have everything to do, or what the projections are. They have everything to do with the quality of golfer for each price tag. And what has happened over the last 7 years, 6 years of salaries at the Memorial Tournament. Last week, we had a projection at the Charles Schwab Challenge for the 10K range, 1 to 3 golfers to finish inside the top 10 from the 10K range. This week, it's 0 to 2, which is alarming. It's very concerning. We don't have a 100% frequency rate, but our success rate is pretty high, 29.03. If we were to go to the raw buckets and just take a look at salaries, we're looking at top 10. So this one right here. We didn't, in 2020, we didn't have a 10K golfer inside the top 10. And in 2017, we didn't have a 10K golfer inside the top 10. So if we take a look at 2020, this was COVID. This is post-COVID, or coming back from COVID, I should say. Bryson was a 10K golfer. Justin Thomas was. McIlroy was. DJ was. And Colin Morikawa were. And only one guy finished top 20. That was JT. Rory actually scored more DK points than he did. Than JT, that is. Not great. Honestly. This looks like Scotty Scheffler's line right now. 9 for recent form. Oh, he finished 32nd. Patrick Cantlay did. Oh, I was looking at something else. Wow, this could actually be one of those events that we just don't go with the hot hand. Although maybe probably just a foolish way. So 2020 and 2017 were the only years we didn't see a 10K golfer inside the top 10. But I can see Spieth there finished 13th. That's pretty darn close. DJ, miscut. Rahm, miscut. It's crazy. Spieth, Day, and Matsuyama. Now, they finished 13th and 15th, Spieth and Day did, but not Matsuyama. Matsuyama finished 45th. It's a made cut, but it's not paying off your price tag. And actually, really, the big hitters were, 9th in the salary leaderboard, 11th and 12th. So 94, 89, and 87. Pretty same. That's like very close to, I guess, 12th and 13th. Interesting. 12th and 13th. So 12th stays there, and 11th. Huh. Very interesting. Yeah, I guess I don't know. Like our 12th and 11th through 13th place right here. It would kind of, if we were following those 2 years, so it's very, very short-sighted. Does an optimal lineup golfer come from these 3 golfers? JT, Im, or Fitzpatrick? I don't know. I don't think that's exactly where I wanted to go with that. I was looking at 10K golfers. And it's hard not to consider any of these guys with finishes from last year and their recent form. And even their course history. One of these 10K golfers is going to be inside the top 10. Okay, that's where we're going at. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, it's kind of foolish not to think that. 9K, 0 to 2. So not even showing a lot of confidence here either. Same goes with the 8K range. Now this says 1 to 2. Does this go up or down? Nope, it's down. So it's 2 is the max. So 0 to 2 for the 8K range. 1 to 3 for the 7K range. That seems about right. And 0 to 2 are the 6Ks. It's crazy. They all equal up how they should. I don't know. Pretty wide open. Like the 7K range is really the only bucket that's like you want at least one, which we typically see every single year anyways when we're looking at the buckets, or every single week, I should say. Okay, so I don't really know what to tell you when it comes to the salary buckets. I am very confident in playing a 10K golfer. Not so confident playing a 9K golfer, and not so confident playing an 8K golfer. Although there are names in each of those ranges that are pretty darn good. Okay, we're going to move on. I'm not going to sit here and try to guess as to why it's that way. Seems pretty wide open. When it comes to the strokes gained buckets, now The wonderful thing that I have on the cheat sheet is if you were to go sort the strokes gained bucket from top to bottom, I have it color coordinated based off of the strokes gained buckets. So we got a lot of people in that strokes gained 1 bucket. We have 25 where we normally see around 18. 50% of our strength of field points go towards this, and the projection is 2 to 4. When you see the golfers that are in here, like Rahm, McIlroy, Cantlay, Schauffele, there's our guy Hatton is also in here. You know, Sungjae and Fitzpatrick I just mentioned with the salaries. Is there an optimal lineup guy right there? Maybe. 2 to 4 seems pretty fair. And it could be 2 10K golfers that finish inside the top 10. That doesn't mean you want to pair those guys up. And it also means you don't want to just automatically put 2 in your lineup. I think when I put this in the bucket system, it's just going to read, or in the optimizer, it's just going to read 1 to 4. Because of how many 10K golfers we have. I mean, there's just a high likelihood we're going to have 2 of these guys inside the top 10. Versus, you know, 2 or more of these guys being inside the top 10. So, something to consider. 0 to 2 strokes gained 2. Now, if you want to know what these buckets mean, I would highly encourage you to watch the bucket system video that I have in the description, because that'll explain it. Otherwise, if I do it right now, it's just going to add that much more time. And we're already at 2 hours. So, I said I was going to go quick with this, and I wasn't. 0 to 2. We have Hovland, Burns, Adam Scott, and then it's 7K and below. I think 0 to 2 is a pretty solid number. I like Victor. I also like Scott. Outside of that, Mitchell's fine too. Outside of that, I don't think I'm not doing any anchor plays here. Strokes gained 3, 1 to 4. It's the actual projection. 1 to 4. That's interesting. Scotty's up here. And then a guy I don't want to play in Colin Morikawa. Another guy I don't want to play in Cam Young. But heck, he is here as well, who I do want to play. And then everyone else is affordable down here. Justin Thomas, maybe not so much. By the way, now that I think about it, everyone being affordable, that actually makes more... if this bucket truly is 1 to 4... I think I put more emphasis on these guys up here, which means I probably put more emphasis on Scheffler. I almost want to say it's a slam dunk with Matsuyama, and it's weird to say. That's not what we should be saying, but I like it. Okay. The next bucket, strokes gained 4. 0 to 2, and actually 0 to 2 for the rest of them. We're not actually going to talk about strokes gained 6, but strokes gained 4 and 5 is 0 to 2. Yeah. When it starts at 7K and we really only have how many 7K golfers? 7. 0 is a very likely number, and 2 is a very likely maximum. Like, you wouldn't want more than 2 from this bucket. So careful when you build your lineups. Could there be more than 2? Sure. But they probably won't be in the optimal lineup. And we scroll down to the 5s. 0 to 2 is our projection here, and you probably won't want more than 2. So, kind of cruised through the last bit there, but I just noticed it was 2 hours, and it's late, so I'm going to head to bed here soon. That covers the preview. That covers the bucket system. Thank you all for watching. Just a reminder, we are doing giveaways. I did run one earlier. Check it out. It's at the beginning of the video. I think Ian Christensen won. So Ian, contact me. But if you want a chance to win $50 or even $5 weekly giveaway or a $50 monthly giveaway, please subscribe and comment down below. Now, we have to hit that sub goal. That's way over there to the left. Have to hit it. We're 3 subscribers away. If we don't hit it, I will give away a t-shirt with this logo on it, the SweetSpotDFS logo. But if we do hit it, I'm going to give away $50. Also, if you're not on Prize Picks, check the description of this video. It'll send you, there's a link that'll send you to the homepage. You just go hit sign up. The promo code SweetSpot will all repopulated. I will give you $20. Plus, you can play for free every Friday for $20. There's a protected flex every single Friday. PrizePicks is also going to match your deposit, so you're going to have $40 in your account, and you just get free lotto tickets every Friday to play. So check it out. But that is all that I have for you guys. So thank you for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.